Good morning, guys. So now we are going to understand how the Ansible is going to be get installed. So let's go it. So I have one of the article which says how the Ansible is going to be installed. It's an official article by ansible.com. So let's get it open. So I had already opened it here, and it says that we already have Ansible can be installed on multiple Linux operating system, which can be Red Hat, CentOS, Fedora, and the command is very simple. They have given the command to install the CentOS operating system. If we can scroll down, then we can see that we have the option to install the Ubuntu as well. To install the Linux Ansible on the Ubuntu, we have to execute all these commands. But the prerequisite said that we have to configure, we have to install the Ubuntu machine first. So to get the Ubuntu can be easily available on the internet. So you need to get downloaded. I had already downloaded the Ubuntu image, which is here in my local folder. To configure a virtual machine, we need to go open the VMware workstation and create a virtual machine. To create a virtual machine, we need to select create, and then we have to select I will install the operating system later. Do not select this option, otherwise it's not giving you the prompt and all further option. It's better to choose this option, which is always the recommended way, and select the Linux and select the Ubuntu here, which is Ubuntu 64. Now select the operating system as well as the name of the VM and the location of the virtual machine where all the files are going to be located. Now click next. It is asking you what could be the storage. At least the minimum which is recommended here, the 20 Gbps is the recommended one. So at least leave the 20 GB and click next and then click finish. So I already did this installation because this installation is asking some of the steps which the normal operating system is also. So once it is done, we have to power it on, and it's followed some of the steps. What could be the name, what could be the host name, IP address, and not IP, it's what could be the username and password, time zone, and some other information, and get the update from the internet as well. So I did it already. Now this machine is ready. I opened the terminal, CLI terminal, and we are ready. Now we need to install this Ansible first. So before installing, Ansible said I need to install Python. So Python, we can say we already have Python 2.7.1.17, which I can get it out, and we can see via the -python 3 -version command as well. So normal Python we have the 2.7, and the Python 3 we have the 3.6.9. So we have the enough Python configuration, Python installed. That is a prerequisite. Now let's go to the website, which is here now. So to install it, it says you have to run this sudo apt update. So as we already have in the root user, so we don't need to run this sudo keyword in front of the command. So we can directly go and run this command apt update and press enter. It's connecting to the internet, getting the update from there, and downloaded it. So it's done now. Let's go back to the next, and it says apt installs software properties common. So let's click here and paste the command, which is now. So now it's going to install the common properties, and the third command, it says add apt repository, and the repository will be downloaded, updated to this particular location. We'll paste it, click, and then click enter. And the last command which they said is that we need to install the Ansible here now. So it's very simple. We need to just select what exactly we are looking for, and it's done. So now it's reading the package. This is especially for the repository which is going to be downloaded here. Now the last command is we need to install the Ansible now. So type the command and done. To validate either Ansible has been installed or no, the same command Ansible space hyphen hyphen version, which says we have the Ansible installed here, which is Ansible 2.9.24. We have the configuration file, which is located to this particular folder. Ansible use some of the modules which we will discuss in next, and this module is located in this location. Ansible Python module is also available, which is available to this particular location, and executable file all are assigned to this particular folder, user bin and Ansible. This Ansible version is taking a Python version, which is a normal Python 2, which version is 2.7.17. It's not using Python 3, but it's all well. We have installed the Python Ansible now, and we validated it's working. So let's go inside in the particular folder and see what all files by default it has been. So as it said, it has the configuration file which is residing here. So we have one of the file in the same folder, etc Ansible, which is mentioned here, etc Ansible and Ansible file. We also have one of the file which says host, which actually the inventory file which collect all the inventory information or the device information. And this Ansible config file is one of the file which contain the Ansible configuration, global config information. So any configuration, if it's required to modify or get it enabled, we need to make the changes here in this file. I also have specified some of the this CentOS commands. We also have noticed if somebody of you is having this CentOS operating system, then we can use all of these commands and get the Ansible to be installed. If we have the Ubuntu, so we already have this command which we already use, so that is can be used to get validate and install the Ansible. Like some of the another important command, useful command which I type it here, like just to check or validate what is my lsb hyphen release a, just to know what is the operating system we are running. Now very first when we run this Ubuntu or operating system, then if we run the command, let me get erase. If we run the command ifconfig, then it is not showing us this configuration, and it's tell us that the network tool is not installed. So this command is actually help us to install the network tool, which is apt install net-tools. Once we run this command, then we are able to see this Ethernet interface, which is by default configured, which is now ENS33, and it's getting the IP address from the DHCP server as well. To validate what is my IP address, we have another command which says IP space address. This also gives us what is my IP address is, and as well as what is my subnet address is. What is my subnet as well. Now we want to see what is my route says. So we simply type route command, and we can see I have the default route configured toward my gateway, and the default route is configured for all of these subnet toward the interface 33. I also have noticed some of the command which actually helping us, and it says that we have configured a SSH server. This command is actually required when we have this machine, this virtual machine which we configured here. We don't want to log into this virtual machine every time, and we just power it on, and we want to take a console from the putty itself. So what we need to do is we need to enable this server. We need to make this SSH services and make this device Ubuntu server as an SSH server, so that we can take a console from the putty and get it access anywhere within the network. Right? The next command is nmtui, which help us to configure the network setting. For example, we don't want that the IP address to be get from the DHCP. So we can go in the operating system and run the command nmtui and press enter. it is open us for a GUI based console and asking us what you want to see, do the changes. You want to change the name of the adapter, you can change it. Wired connection 1, you can say no, it's a wired connection. And how the IP address it will be? So it says it is automatic, right? If you do not want that IP address to be the automatic, you can change it. You said just and double click and said it's a manual. Go next, press enter. It is asking what is the IP address you want to configure. Set the IP address which you want to be configured here, like 192.168.1.101. What is the subnet mask? And what is the gateway or the DNS? Oh sorry, this is a gateway. Sorry, /24, and this is my gateway 192.168.1.1. Right? Any of the DNS you want to add, you can add it here. There's a Google DNS server, and go next and press enter. OK. Go back, and before to make any changes, just activate this connection. It says you want to deactivate, and one more time you need to press enter to get activated. Now this interface is activate. Click OK. Back. Quit. Now if you can see the run the command ipconfig, then you can see the IP address is changed now. So this is one of the good command which says which tell us to change an IP address from the Gui interface. Right? I don't want this IP to be configured manually. I want this connection to be only the automatic. So I am going to change now. And go back, because I configured my interface in a netted zone, so this IP address may not be work here. Let me get deactivate and then activate once again. Done. Now I use the if config once again. So my IP address is again going to be changed and get the IP address from the DHCP. Now let's configure the SSH on this particular server so that I can take access from this machine via the PuTTY. So the command is apt install open SSH server. Let's open it. So this is one time which we need to do is apt install open SSH, and the command is open SSH. Let's validate server. Press enter. Do you want to install? Yes, we want to install it now. And let me open the PuTTY and type the IP address 102. Let's get validated once more. What the IP address is going to be captured. So it's installed now. Let me check. 102.136. 102.136. Press enter. Now if you can see here, it is giving us a prompt. So I type here the username and provide the password, and I am in. Now if you can see here, my host name which I logged in and my machine. Let's validate either I have logged in the correct. So it is 102.36, which is the same IP address which we have it. So this is what we need to do, at least initially, so that next time we don't need to log into the device and make the changes. Thank you very much.